studied now the worldwide views process on biodiversity this year. And just to give you some context about the case itself, I want to give you some historical background to it. I want to introduce you the standardized design of this approach. I give some context about the global alliance that worked on this and on the policy impact it might have, or this is still under discussion, what kind of policy impact it has. So the first time that there was an experimentation with this worldwide was in 2009 on the issue of global warming, when there was the United Nations conference on climate change in Copenhagen. And the Danish Board of Technology, which is an organization in Denmark very much experienced with different designs on public participation, came up with the idea they wanted to try out a global design for public participation. And they involved a lot of other partners who also have experience and expertise in public participation processes, and in particular in the field of technology assessment. So participatory technology assessment was the background most of the organizations come from. And when they did it for the first time, it was criticized that the policy impact was actually very low. So there was kind of a side event on this United Nations conference in Copenhagen, but it was not very noticed by policy actors. So when they did it now again, there was the approach to somehow link this participation process closer to the United Nations policy process on biodiversity, which was the issue of the exercise this year. And so they started to get in contact with the committees and organizations from the United Nations administration on biodiversity very early. And they became also a member of the steering committee of this worldwide views process. And finally, this year in September, on September 15, the day of deliberation and participation took place, and citizens from 25 countries deliberated and participated in their countries, but were connected via internet to come up with a common aggregated result. And so I just give you some aspects of the design. It was very relevant to this project that it was a standardized design. It was assumed that if we have this diversity of countries, we have to have a very standardized, organized way of making citizens discuss and also come up with aggregated results of their talk. So they decided to make a design where citizens were prepared with information material in advance. They got another information based on information videos on that day. There were on several thematic issues of global biodiversity problems, discussion sessions during the day, and in the end, after each session, they had the possibility to vote. And like this, it was kind of a polling or kind of a survey approach. They tried to aggregate all the different opinions of citizens and to come up in the end with a final result report that was handed into the United Nations Conference on Biodiversity that took place in November this year in India, in Hyderabad. So these citizens who were included in this process were randomly selected in each country based on defined criteria like age, education, profession, and other criteria. And this was actually undertaken in very different concrete solutions on the local level, which I will problematize a little bit later. So who was involved in the coordination and organization of this process? It was an alliance of 25 and no, actually but more organizations based in 25 countries, and mainly no state institutions, but NGOs or expertise organizations from university or in some cases science museums. They were in this process framed as so-called partners, but actually what took place, or what happened was that this Danish Board of Technology, who was the central organizer and coordinator, implemented this process in a rather top-down coordinative way. So in the policy impact, this time, as I mentioned already, was somehow trying to be closer to the UN conference on biodiversity. What they actually, or where they succeeded, is that I gave you a quote of the final result conference paper from Hyderabad, and there the worldwide use process is mentioned as a best practice of communication initiatives mainstreaming of biodiversity, participatory planning, and knowledge management and capacity building. And the organizers are very proud of that they managed to get into this document. Of course, it will take some time also to measure what kind of other policy impact this has. So after you have now maybe a little bit more, like a better illustrated idea of what my case is, I just want to somehow focus again on my particular research question. So I'm interested in which roles and meanings and also values and interests are inscribed in these kind of standardized designs, which in the end constrain the actors and their performance. And with actors and their performance, I mean on the one hand local partners, like local organizations who were involved in this process, but also in the end it is the citizen who is framed, and the role of citizen is defined within these designs. So I looked on two levels, like on the one hand the transnational